Parliamentary Reporters Dictation number 16 at the speed of 140 words per minute from Kailash Chandra shortened transcription number 188 189. Last 5 seconds. Be ready. Start. This Honorable House is aware of the policy with regard to coal that has been embodied in the second 5-year plan. The target of coal production at a figure of 60 million tons per annum has to be attained at the end of second 5-year plan. That means an increase of 22 million tons over the existing production of roughly 38 million tons. Of these additional 22 million tons, 12 million tons of additional coal production will be in the public sector and 10 million tons in the private sector. To attain this target in the public sector, the government has established a National Coal Development Corporation. The function of that corporation are to work those collieries which at the moment are under the state control and also to develop new collieries so that this additional target of 22 million tons may be attained in the second 5-year plan. When the coal position was examined, it was found that all the important areas where from coal could be exploited were covered either by prospecting leases or by mining leases. In order that government might be able to produce additional coal in the public sector, it is necessary that we should have the power to acquire rights with regard to those areas of land where coal is likely to be found. This bill therefore gives the necessary authority for the acquisition of rights which will confer upon the state ultimately. When the various proceedings which are mentioned in this bill are taken, the right to exploit coal and develop those coal fields. The pattern upon which this bill has been framed is a pattern with which this Honorable House is familiar. The broad pattern with regard to the procedure follows the pattern laid down in the Land Acquisition Act. There are two stages at which different notifications are issued. I draw the attention of the Honorable House in this connection to sections 4 and 7. Under section 4, it is giving notice of government's intention to prospect for coal. After the issue of that notification, authority is taken for entering upon and surveying any land in such a locality or to dig or bore into the subsoil, to do all other acts necessary to prospect for coal in the land and to undertake all such other steps which can be described as exploratory in character. Sir, after this information is collected, preliminary work is done, and if the central government is satisfied that coal is obtainable, then within a period of 2 years from the date of issue of the notification under section 4, it will give notice of its intention to acquire the whole or any part of the land or of any rights in or over such land as the case may be. It would be necessary because otherwise government would have had on its hands areas which need not have enough quantities of coal or coal which could not be economically prospected. Then, after the issue of this notification, other things follow. The usual type of steps are visualized in order to enable the government to effectively get hold of that land and to undertake prospecting. The other clause about which I would like to make a mention at this stage is the clause relating to payment of compensation. There may be criticism, sir, with regard to the principles which have been enunciated for assessment of compensation. These principles are given in clause 13 of the bill. The criticism may be of two kinds. My friends opposite may criticize it on the ground that the principles that have been laid down are too liberal and are weighted in favor of those whose rights are to be acquired. Then again, sir, there may be criticism from some other friends, maybe, sir, towards my right or to the left of my honorable friend opposite who might be able to put up a case saying that we are making a departure from the normal principles with regard to which the country has become familiar, namely those under the Land Acquisition Act, with all the provisions regarding the payment of solatium of 15% or the like. Government, sir, in this particular case have adopted a pattern, some indication of which had already been given by Parliament. I would, in this connection, with your permission, Mr. Vice Chairman, like to refer to the principles which are laid down for payment of compensation under the Mining Leases Modification of Terms Rules 1956. These rules, sir, were discussed their threadbare in Parliament, and those rules were later on adopted. I won't weary the Honourable House by reading the various clauses of the relevant rules. Suffice it to say that the principle, which is the underlying principle in those rules, has also been adopted with necessary modifications to fit into the pattern of the present Act. In the compensation clause, which is clause 13 of the bill, the principle is the liability to pay compensation. Mr. Chairman, my honorable friend, the Food Minister, apologizes for bringing in this measure at so late an hour, but he has given us no adequate reason for not having placed it before Parliament much earlier. When did the government become aware of the fact that food prices were rising? We have been aware of it for months. I think the Finance Minister too has expressed apprehensions more than once with regard to the rise in food prices, but the Food Minister himself has, I believe, consistently minimized the seriousness of the food situation. The price statistics have shown clearly for some time that prices were rising, and that in spite of the opening of fair price shops and the other measures that government took, there was no sign that the prices would be stabilized. In spite of all that the government did, it was clear that prices were showing a tendency to rise. There is one other fact that I should like to bring to the notice of the House in this connection. Government, realizing that the position was becoming very difficult, has taken steps to secure food grains from other countries. So far as I know, it has entered into an agreement with Japan to get 2 million tons of rice from her during the 7th 5-year plan period. It has also taken steps to get, I think, about 3 million tons of food grains from America and perhaps from Australia too. The total quantity of food grains thus ordered is about 5.5 million tons. Under the agreement that they have entered into, they can even obtain, I think, about 80 or 90,000 tons more, or even a little more, perhaps about a million tons more. They therefore knew that the present situation would soon become more difficult in the near future. That is why they took steps to enter into an agreement with other countries to obtain the food supplies badly needed by the country. Yet the food minister comes to us at the 11th hour and wants the bill to be discussed as an emergency measure. Is this, sir, fair to the House? There may be hoarding and it may have to be dealt with, but I object very strongly to the procedure that the government has adopted. This is not done the first time, sir, that is the government of India have acted in this manner. Now, sir, the food minister says that food grains are being hoarded. Is this a complete exposition of the rise in food prices? We all know that the food position in Bangladesh is very unsatisfactory. It is also known from newspaper reports that rice is being smuggled into Bangladesh. This is not a new phenomenon but something that has come to light during the last 4 or 5 or 6 days. This too has been known to government for a pretty long time. It was also known to them that in spite of what they were doing, smuggling was increasing. Yet They slept over the whole affair and came before Parliament when it was going to adjourn. There may be some hoarding in the country, but I should like to ask the Food Minister to tell us whether this bill would provide the remedy that is needed. This bill cannot prevent anybody from smuggling rice into Bangladesh. Stop.